Bhagwan is there and Bhagwan is ever ready to help his devotees. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya prati janihi na me bhakta pranashyati. Bhagwan tells Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us, remember that my devotee can never perish. This is Bhagwan's declaration. And therefore when Bhagwan says, Sambhavami yuge yuge, the word Sambhavami, in a very unique manner, each time. In which manner we will not know. न जाने किस रूप में नारायण मिल जाए. We may not even know in which form Bhagwan comes to help us. Therefore, Sambhavami. And Yuge Yuge, which means in every period of time, wherever there is a devotee, even if there is one Prahlad, I'm sure those of you who have met Gurudev or even now felt his presence in your life, even though you have not met him personally, each one of us will feel that Gurudev came for me only. After Gurudev's major heart attack in 1980, after which Gurudev, doctor said he should not move, 80. Within 3 months of a major bypass, he was up, moving, traveling, every nook and corner of the world, I will say. And I know, at least that's what I feel, and each one felt that Gurudev came back just for us. In 1990, again he had a major heart attack. Doctors said your heart is functioning barely 15%. Today when we see the picture of his heart, you will be surprised that without anybody knowing how many heart attacks he had, that his whole heart, physical heart, was non-functional, and yet his loving heart was such that overcame every physical difficulties, every physical heart attacks. And the picture of his heart is there, X-ray of his heart is there. You wonder how many heart attacks he must have had. That his whole heart is basically scarred. And yet, his loving heart, his divine heart, functioned in such a manner that you come to recognize that our life, our work is not dependent upon this physical body, but it requires a loving heart to do the service till the last breath, like these great masters, whose even short lifespan is far longer than, or far greater in its achievement than all our lives put together. That is the greatness of their life. In 1990, when Gurudev had another major heart attack, and the doctors said that you shouldn't be speaking more than 20 minutes. Not more than 20 minutes. To keep the mission continuing,
He had accepted on his 75th birth year, for the Swarna Tulabharam, so that this Seva programs that he started would continue. He left Siddhbadi. There were no direct flights. Drove to Chandigarh. Even there he was meeting the Sikh community of that area for the first time. They had so many questions. They didn't know about his health. But even there, he would spend over an hour and a half answering their questions. The doctor who had traveled with him, and he said, there's no need to come. He said, no, we have to look after you. Or Dr. Shama had traveled from our rural development program. Even she could not stop him from speaking, in communicating this knowledge, to remove the doubts of the people, to bring them on the spiritual path. He spoke for 1.5 hours, and then, mischievous as he was, looks at Dr. Shama and says, you came here to look after me. I've spoken for 1.5 hours and you have not stopped me? Now who can stop Swami Chinmayananda from speaking? If you even disturbed his talk for a second, he didn't have to open his third eye. His 2 eyes and his gaze was enough. That way I knew that how weak was his physical heart, but how strong was his loving spirit. I walked with him into his bedroom, tucked him into the bed, and even there he picks up the book of Sant Kabir and reads out to me, and he says, see how all the saints speak the one same indivisible truth, that there is only one reality. I am enjoying listening to him reading the poetry of Kabir, but I do want him to not again speak. So while lying in bed, he reads me out Kabir. Yeah. Who knows that on his 108th Jayanti, I would be running a camp on Sant Kabir. Look at his. He was reading out to me. And just as when I switched off the light and walked out of his room, I heard him say, I did a bit too much. I spoke a bit too much. I ran back to his bed and I told him that if you speak more, Gurudev, I was literally, very humbly saying, may we stop you? And he looked at me, surprised that I would be able to tell him that. Because I better take permission from him. How can you stop him when he's speaking? And especially from the platform. Nobody can stop him. But even one devotee there, unknown to him, one Sikh devotee was asking the question, and for that one person he went for 1.5 hours, not even worried about his health. If this is not Bhagwan's love, whose love is it? Yeah? As great saints have said about Gurudev, devotees should see Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. They should see God in their Guru only. Where else can we see God if not in our mother, our father, and our Guru? But whom saints and sages, men and women of greatness and realization, when they declare someone to be the manifestation of God Himself. And I've explained on the first day. We are all born humans, but we all have come from Bhagwan only. In all the bulbs there is the same electricity. Some give out little light. Some can flood the place with light. Those bulbs that can manifest the maximum power of electricity, in them we can see the glory of electricity. And in such persons we can see the love, the power, the beauty, the effectiveness of Bhagwan. And therefore we call them avatars. Otherwise anybody can call themselves avatar. But his entire life of these great personalities, including Sri Krishna, who is considered to be Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. He came even in the battlefield to make Arjuna realize that your Atma, yourself, is infinite, it is immortal, and with that knowledge alone, be a fearless warrior and face the battles of your life. Perform your duties in such a manner that you are not afraid of death. Because fire cannot burn you, water cannot drown you, air cannot dry you, weapons cannot cleave you, nor can nuclear bombs blast you. For the Atma is eternal, and he who comes to know that Atma in this life as the self in everyone, Bhagwan says, they are in me and I am in them. Which means there is no difference between such a person and me. Puja Gurudev's love was so much that he did not care whether this body collapses or not. But even if one person doubts can be removed and they are brought to the spiritual path. And therefore, great masters, great saints and sages themselves, whom I had a chance of meeting, in their own right they were considered as great saints. They have personally said that if Krishna taught one Arjuna, and of course through Arjuna to mankind, to one Arjuna the Gita, Swami Mitrananda taught to millions of people, crores of people, the Bhagavad Gita. Who other than Krishna can teach the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah? Who other than Krishna can teach millions of people the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah? In 1990, after Gurudev's major heart attack and doctors saying that you cannot travel, but can anybody stop him? You cannot speak, your heart will collapse on stage if you go more than 20 minutes. But in 20 minutes, the social media had not come in, that 2 minutes talks people are very satisfied with. Yeah? 30 seconds talks. 30 seconds you can't even tell a joke. Yeah? And 30 seconds wisdom, who even for 30 years cannot understand. Yeah? Finally, they agreed that he can speak for 1 hour and not a minute more. I remember after having given the most inspiring speech for 20 minutes during the Swarna Tulabharam, 1991, I remember him sitting in the Jagdishwara temple, and I went up to him to bow down to him, and he asked me, Gurudev, nudges me and says, how was I yesterday? I said, Gurudev needs any compliment from even us, a disciple of his? I'd seen Gurudev so ill. So I said, no, Gurudev, you were a roaring lion like you were. You're the best always, Not that I was encouraging him or patronizing him. So I said, yes, Gurudev, your talk was excellent. He says, not that. Did I look sick? I said, no. Did I sound powerful? I said, yes. Then next month I'm coming to Hong Kong, arrange the talks. And he was on the move. And that year he told me, he was establishing Chinmaya International Foundation, SIF, here in Ernakulam, which he had declared that one day it will be a university to integrate Indian knowledge systems with contemporary knowledge. As I said, when Bhagwan says something, it will come true. When a person who has lived up to his conviction, whatever he or she says will come to be truth. One who knows the truth, whatever they say, whatever they do, is the truth. 30 years ago he said that we will build a university like never before, where traditional Indian knowledge systems will be revived. And even though it appears even now an almost impossible task, because we have lost the mindset, as I was speaking yesterday, we have lost many of these books of knowledge and sciences, and even the evidence of which it is there. Today people are not able to understand it, and the traditional scholars who knew it, many have passed away in the last decade, almost the last generation, and even they were not able to pass on in a contemporary style, in the language that the youth will understand today. That mighty task that sounds impossible, but then what is impossible for Swami Chinmayananda? And to think about it, everybody says that why Kerala? Even Keralites tell me, how did you do it? Even Keralites go and open universities outside Kerala. Yeah. But right in the birthplace of Shankaracharya and Gurudev, without really speaking anyone's choice, each one of us had no choice but to choose Kerala for such a prestigious institution. It is in Kerala itself that we have the maximum Chinmaya Vidyalayas too. For this is the place from which great knowledgeable bhaktas, great knowledgeable devotees have contributed to this great grand spiritual culture of Bharat. What Sri Ved Vyasa achieved by saving the Veda, by dividing them into 4 volumes and into various shakhas, and teaching his different disciples the vast knowledge of the Veda that he gathered from different areas of the vast land of Bharat at that time, and compiled them into 4 Vedas, 4 volumes of the Veda: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda, so that each Veda would be memorized, learnt, propagated, if not the entire Veda, which constitutes the 4 volumes. If people cannot, then he compiled them into 4 Vedas. And then wrote the Mahabharata, which is a complete summary of all the Puranas and the Vedas that he had compiled. And his originality of presenting it in a manner in the epic Mahabharata, and therefore it is said that what does not exist in the Mahabharata does not exist in the world. Which means every knowledge, and if you take any science you take up, from management to politics to finance or economy of a country, you talk about medicine, you talk about spirituality, you talk about astrology, you speak about astronomy, you speak about cosmology, everything is there in the Mahabharata. And what Ved Vyasa achieved at that time, at the end of Dwapar Yuga, for a new Yuga, and therefore in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ved Vyasa is also called as an avatar of Bhagwan. And he is the one who brought out, like never before, the beauty of avatar. Even though mentioned in the Kenopanishad, but what is the role of life of Bhagwan day to day in our life? And yuge does not mean only some age. Moment to moment in our life, if we begin to recognize his divinity and have gratitude for it, then our life itself will be divine, a manifestation of his divinity. And therefore Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. That what is the purpose of knowing the birth, remembering and celebrating the birth of Bhagwan, which Bhagwan says, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadishtaya sambhavami atma mayaya. He says, even though I am unborn, uncreated, eternal, unchanging, unmodifying, and the supreme Lord of everybody, which means nobody can force me into something. Nobody can cause any change or modification or distortion in me. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San. And I have no desire of my own. Therefore, I am not a slave to the matter. Prakritim swamadishtaya sambhavami. I appear, I manifest. Atma Mayaya. The word Maya we understand as delusion, which means I, who am unchanging, unborn, manifest due to my Maya, which means my birth itself is an appearance. And therefore great saints, even in Bhagavad Puran, even in the Ramayana, by Prakat Kripala Deen Dayala, Bhagwan was not born from the womb of the mother. Bhagwan appeared. Bhagwan appeared in his full divine form to Devaki Mata, to Kaushalya Mata. And on their request, Kije Shishu Leela, when mother said, when devotee tells the Lord, now be my child, Rodanathana, Bhagwan started his Leela by crying out loud as Sri Ram, but being silent and ever smiling as Sri Krishna. So one who knows the secret of my birth. This is what Bhagwan's birth is. But Bhagwan says, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. Jiva is born, really speaking, even Jiva is eternal only. The same Atma which is eternal. And it is out of our ignorance, our slavery to our vasanas, and our identification with this body that we seem to take birth. Otherwise, Atma in anyone is not born. So one who knows the secret of birth, that birth is not for the Atma, but for the Jiva. When the Jiva has identification with the body, mind and intellect, birth takes place. First with the mind and intellect, then with the body. And we celebrate the birthday of this body. When the body becomes alive, that is what we call as birth. Otherwise, the Atma, the self, is never born. And one who has understood this secret, that Paramatma only is the Atma, and the Atma is ever unborn, Aja, unchanging, Avyaya, Avinashi, imperishable. The very first three names that Guruji gave to Gurudev, Om Ajaya Namaha, Om Avyaya Namaha, Om Avinashine Namaha. One who knows the secret of my birth and the divinity of my actions. When Krishna says Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, Maya means delusion, but there's another meaning of Maya, And don't think that you give your daughter's name Maya or sister's name Maya because of delusion. But when we says Maya Manusha Vesha Leeladhara Deva Madhusudana, that word Maya means love. That Bhagwan manifests out of love. And nothing but love. Not Bhagwan needs to. That Bhagwan who can take life and give life, can take away Ravan from this world. Bhagwan didn't have to do this grand Leela. Bhagwan didn't have to take help from monkeys to build a bridge. But Bhagwan comes to show us through his actions, through his Leelas, how this Jiva kurvaneva karmani jijivishe chatagam samaha, that how doing actions out of gratitude in the yajna spirit with the attitude loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, when we do our duties moment to moment with devotion to the higher, with inspiration from the Lord and our Guru, and when we work like them, work with that spirit, work with that dedication, then we bring divinity into our actions, and all such action, Bhagwan Krishna says in yajna, in the person who acts in the spirit of yajna, Bhagwan is ever present and manifest in that person's life, in that person's action. And therefore Bhagwan says, Janma karma cha me divyam yo veti tattvataha. One who in essence comes to recognize that Bhagwan's action throughout his life, and of all such great masters, their life is only for the people. People sometimes ask me, why did you become a Swami? All I can say is that not only grateful for the knowledge that Gurudev gave to all of us so clearly, but when I saw that there was a person who worked 20 hours a day, the remaining 4 hours was also what he taught us, that your meditation also should be for the people, not just for yourself. In those 4 hours also, his time of meditation was only for the people. So one who worked 24/7, 365 days, without a holiday, without a retreat, without a sabbatical, without a, any Tirth Yatras, but day and night worked for the people. Never seen or heard in recent times someone working like this. And when we understand the divinity, the dedication, the inspiration, the magnitude and the magnificence of his actions, and we get inspired, and even in our life, we could get just a fraction of that divinity. What we can achieve in life is such greatness that even if we don't recognize, people will recognize the divinity in you. People will see that God manifests in you. And when you feel that inner sense of fulfillment, as Puja Gurudev had written to me in the Bhagavad Gita when I took to him, and he signed the Bhagavad Gita, he said, read 2 verses of the Bhagavad Gita daily. Reflect and understand the Bhagavad Gita. Shankaracharya also said, Bhagavad Gita kinchida dita, Ganga jala lava kanika pita. Read the Bhagavad Gita, understand the Bhagavad Gita. And whatever you have understood, live it. Live these knowledge bits. What we can understand is only bits. And he writes, the joy of fulfillment that you will then experience in your bosom, in your heart, is the smiling vision of the butter thief of Vrindavan. So no doubt grateful for him for the knowledge that he gave of our own divinity. But when I saw his work, him working day and night for the people, available for the people even in spite of his health. You never saw him ill, you never saw him sick. Even if you were taking him on the wheelchair and later on in the room, he would be on oxygen. But when he came on stage, he was a roaring lion like he was 45 years when he started. Shri Krishna tells to Arjuna, why speak about Janak Maharaj, etc.? He tells Arjuna, see me only, Krishna. He had nothing to gain, he had nothing to lose, even as the prince or king of Dwarka. But then for what or for whom? Bhagwan was sitting as the charioteer of Arjuna, facing the arrows first, protecting Arjuna, working more hours than these warriors for whom he was fighting this battle. Even while everybody slept, Krishna would be massaging the feet of the horses. Why would he engage himself in action like this? Because such action Bhagwan doesn't need, a realized master doesn't need. But for Loka Sangraha, that when we with our inspiration, devotion, listen to his phenomenal achievements and actions for the well-being of people, wanting nothing for himself and yet acting day and night, and I mean even night, for the well-being of people, which even they don't know what they need, still going on. Whether people knew him or not, people were grateful or not, whether people were fit or not, how he spread this knowledge at all stages of our life. Childhood, youth, adulthood and old age. 4 again. He is one Swami Brahmacharya Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasis. Inspiration to all of them, gave knowledge to all of them, showed that how a brahmachari must gain knowledge from his guru, inspired the grahasthas to live a noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what they consume and giving more than what they take. To the Vanaprastha to live an retired life, not by being tired, but giving back to the world that they have taken and which they are going to leave behind. And for the sannyasis, who think very often, and that is what pained him when he was in Uttarkashi. The realized masters, by their mere presence, bless the world. But many of the sannyasis had given up actions serving the world. And renunciation does not mean renunciation of action. Renunciation means, as Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and as Swami Chinmayananda, Shankaracharya, Ved Vyasa demonstrated, that sannyas means giving up your desire-prompted activities. That people don't give up eating good food. But karma I don't want to do. Service I don't want to do. And all these great masters demonstrated and showed that only those who have no desires of their own, like Bhagwan, can work Atma Mayaya out of love. Every moment is for the people. And those who manifest such love without any selfish desire, those who work day and night selflessly, Bhagwan manifests through them. That is Bhagwan's avatar. Bhagwan manifests through them. And we saw that in our Gurudev's life. And when such great masters speak about Swami Chinmayananda, when even the greatest of powerful and knowledgeable people, not only in the country but in the world, speak of Swami Chinmayananda, when even politicians speak about Swami Chinmayananda, and they can be from any party, then you will know that what we take for granted in our life, that such a manifestation of the divine has been in our life. And we do not need to go far into history, which we have been brainwashed as it being only a myth. We have seen that in our life. If Ved Vyasa compiled the Veda into 4 volumes, Shankaracharya re-established the Vedic Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, by not only, like Ved Vyasa, modifying the yajna into puja and into temples, but again re-establish the proper means of worship in the temples. And to impart this knowledge, again started 4 matas. in the 4 zones of Bharat. And rather than dividing the country into language states, like the great visionary Shankaracharya, we would have only, for administration, it has to be divided into the 4 states, each championing, each matha championing the deep study of one particular Veda, because all 4 Vedas in Kali Yuga, but which has got all the knowledge that is required, into 4 Veda. So 4 Veda, 4 matters. And each master, each avatar, as per the need of the time, and see what our Gurudev did. For our spirituality, started institutions like the Sandipani Sadhanalaya, where all of us brahmacharis and swamis, when such a great master leaves, if he has not left behind just a legend, but a legacy to continue, like all these great acharyas, what no one could do in the recent times, he made it possible by the Sandipani Sadhanalayas, so that the spiritual Gyan Yagyas, the study of the scriptures, and therefore spiritual institutions, not only Sandipani Sadhanalayas, but various ashrams and centers around the world. With from the womb to the tomb. From the Garbha Samskaras to Shishu Vihar, Bal Vihar, Junior Yuva Kendra, Setukaris, Grahastas, Vanaprasthis, until the end of your life. So from the womb to the tomb. A complete program to live, to imbibe and to abide in our spiritual knowledge. A huge education movement. And today we can proudly say, from KG to PhD. Not just institution of education and excellence, but where value-based education is given, which people don't value, even parents don't value. Rarely do even teachers value. But to inspire the teacher in every subject, to impart the greatness and value of these values along with modern academic education, that today the children of Chinmaya Vidyalaya are amongst the top positions in the world, and I get to meet them. And to imagine that wherever our Chinmaya Vidyalaya children go, even to the universities, we have received letters that one thing, besides getting good marks, etc., they definitely are considered to be people of noble character and excellent behavior. Most of our schools today are achieving even the best ranking. And to let you know that for many years, our Chinmaya International Residential School, whose children have come and they're trying to tell you, please send your children rather than sending them abroad to CIRS in Coimbatore. Which is not only the top ranking residential co-ed school in the country for many years, but even academically for many years has stood to be the first ranking school in the country. And I was thrilled to hear that in IB, International Baccalaureate, an international course, it is also amongst the top 10, if not 5, in the world. To imagine what our Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, whose new campus we are inaugurating tomorrow on Shankar Jayanti, in time, and in time doesn't mean too long, will be able to achieve, and what higher education student it is going to bring. Whatever hiccups that comes on the way, whatever difficulties and challenges that came even in our education system, today the education board is looking to our Chinmaya education cell to create curriculums and especially Chinmaya vision programs of value-based education in the country. Spiritual institution like never before. Spiritual reach like never before. Through this open air auditoriums. Yeah? Thousands of people, and even today, thousands of people daily are learning this knowledge, inspired and living. Yeah? Third, family programs. For the whole family. Even the spiritual world is aghast that we get individuals, Chinmaya Mission gets families. Because we've got program from children to the adults. Program for every family to live a harmonious life. And only when we learn to live in love in the family, to serve each other in the family, can as a family we serve the larger family of our country and our world. And fourth, you have to one day come to Sidbadi or Odisha or even Sirvani or Tamraipakam in Tamil Nadu and see the rural development programs, the most rural villages, the self-help groups, and to say that Indian women require empowerment, surely not. They can teach the women of the world what these women in the villages can empower the world with. Rural development program, family program, education, and in the rural program, etc., also medical, etc., all included. In every field of our human life, through which we can serve, including orphanage, home for the elderly. I generally tell people, it's a one-stop, service mall. Yeah? Where you can give your service, you can give your charities. One place where every service program, name it, from the corporates to the rural. Yeah? That's why when Bhagwan says, Sambhavami yuge yuge, for each yuga, for each millennium, there is a Yuga Purusha. And we are blessed that such a complete Purusha, Purna Purusha, has been in our life, and whose legacy we have an opportunity to serve him and to be part of his glory. As Sant Kabir Das ji says, Lali mere lal ki jit dekhun tit lal, lali dekhan main gayi, main bhi ho gayi lal. Lal, my beloved, my Lord, my Guru. Lali, his vibhuti, his glory. Lali mere lal ki jit dekhun tit lal. I have been to remote places, not only in our country but round the world, even in Africa. And even there I have found somebody, if not anything, running a Chinmaya Bal Vihar. Not big cities, remote places in Africa, East Africa, West Africa I have been to. That is, when he says, Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And on this 108th Jayanti, all we can say that we can only offer ourselves in his service and remaining Lali dekhan main gayi, main bhi ho gayi lal. Tattvataha, when Bhagwan says, as Gurudev's last words to a child who said, will I see you again, Gurudev? And he smiled at the child and said, look into your heart and you shall find me there always. In this 108th Jayanti, thus between our two great Gurus, Jayanti, Gurudev and Sri Adi Shankaracharya, we not only offer the inauguration of our new campus tomorrow on Shankar Jayanti, for no one in modern times has taken the work of Shankaracharya, not only length and breadth of the country, but round the world, as Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. And our offering at his feet and his offering to the Rishi culture, to Adi Shankaracharya, in the Institute of Knowledge that we are building in Ernakulam. Come forth, serve, give your good wishes, spread the good word, send your children or grandchildren, contribute in any way you can, and help us to build such a mighty institution in the sacred land of Kerala, the place of knowledge, the place of our Guru Parampara. We offer with our prostrations this sacred program organized by all our devotees, committee members, trustees of Kerala, entire Kerala, and what we started from Palghat, the birthplace of Sri Taponji Maharaj, exactly 108 days on the Ram Janma Bhoomi, Ram Lala's presence there, Pratishtha of the Murti there. Exactly 108 days later was Gurudev's Jayanti. Is it a coincidence? And my gratitude to all the sevaks who have made this program possible. In the evening, Puja Guruji will be concluding it. All of you be there. And I have to now go to the university to have the Paduka Puja and certain openings so that tomorrow we can have the grand inauguration. All of you are welcome for that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
दोस्तों 300 से भी ज्यादा कंपनीज को मैं ट्रेनिंग दे चुका हूं और आज 2024 में जहां जाओ वहां एचआर बोलता है चैट जीपीटी वाले स्टूडेंट भेजो, एआई वाले स्टूडेंट भेजो। मतलब एआई और चैट जीपीटी एक्सेल के अंदर किस तरीके